Lisa deals with symphonies, so I was wondering how the Cuban symphony is doing.
Probably not as good as any of the ones in the States.
That's good.
We're about the truth in this class and seeking the truth of the Bible and even the truth in our lives. One truth I'll give you is Linda is a card shark. This Linda is a card shark. She beat me in pinochle on Friday night. And then they tried to choke me to death. There's more to that story. Anyway, we have a couple new people. The Jacksons. Wave your hand. And Brendan, your fiance and child. Welcome. John, welcome back. You were John the Fourth, right?
Sixth.
No, he's the fifth. He came after you. I think you're John the Fourth, right? Or third. He's the third.
I have no idea. Whatever you say.
We'll have to recast it.
You don't come back after lunch.
There's a propensity of Johns.
John the engineer, he says.
To be more alliterative, a jubilation of Johns in this class. Okay. What is our class? What is our class verse? No, not second. What's it say?
Always be prepared to give an answer or defense for the hope that is within you,
Right.
with gentleness and kindness.
Good. I work in a lot of different industries. One I'm dealing with is the aesthetic industries. People want to look good, and so this is an ad run by one of the companies that supplies that industry. And one of the people who was in the industry came to me and said, "Watch this! There's something about this ad. It just doesn't make sense. I'm not getting it. What are they doing? You don't know what it is." No. Huh?
No, it's not missing it.
No.
No.
There are alternative ways of spelling it. You can spell with an E or with
This would be one way to spell it, yeah.
You're being judgmental.
I picked up on it right away. Can anybody tell me what the oxymoron in is here?
Well, they're judging it not to be appropriate, so they're breaking it because they're.
You're making a judgment on the word judgment.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I thought you was going to paint over.
No. That's actually a still shot from the commercial.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
You're making a judgment on a judgment.
What commercial?
It's called Xeomin. Yeah, Xeomine, something like that. Xeomin. It's a competitor to Botox. What it is. So they're breaking all these. It's like, and so I pointed out there. I said, "Well, what are they breaking? Well, glass. What's on the glass? Judgment. So they're trying to break the word? Yeah. So they're making a judgment on, which helped me get into a whole long 20-minute discussion with her about if you're going to be non-judgmental in anything, you must be mute your entire life. You can't say it's good. You can't say it's bad. As soon as you do, you're making a judgment. And so I always end my statements on judgments, and whatever you do, don't drive. Because you'll be making judgments. And if you're not making judgments, there's going to be accidents. So, that was fun. It was a fun little exercise. Who's this guy?
Yes.
Very good.
Who is this name?
Yes, Lois. We did Mere Christianity about 2 years ago now.
Has it been that long?
I think it's been that long. I think it's about 2 years ago. Too long. And we're going to be doing screw tape letters coming up. So, who's that?
Famous atheist.
Huh?
Famous atheist.
A famous atheist. That's good. That's true.
I forgot his name. He became, well, he wasn't an atheist no longer, but he did believe in Christ. He
Still doesn't believe in Christ.
Yeah, he still doesn't believe in Christ, but he did believe in God eventually.
Right. His name's Anthony
Yeah,
Flew.
Anthony Flew.
Okay. Who's that?
Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins. Which is, and when you hear about the commonality, I'll tell you in a second. Who's that?
Water Wallace.
Very good. You've read.
I watch it on YouTube.
Oh, good.
From the book, you wouldn't know what he looks like.
J. Warner
Yeah.
Laws, right?
Sorry.
And this guy.
Previously, the most interesting man in the world. He's still the most interesting.
That's absolutely true.
Isn't it true?
That is absolutely true.
It's a bit of a
But
word.
they have to steal from God to have a moral standard anyway.
And it's a beer label, so I blanked over it. Okay.
That's an appropriate word.
Holy Lord, that's just.
That's the most interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting man in the world.
That's right, most interesting man in the world.
So says a beer commercial.
You will find this a lot. Atheists don't always give me examples of why Christianity is dangerous. But when they do, they tend to cite the best examples of people not following the tenets of Christianity. It seems to be that Christopher Hitchens would always go on and denounce Christianity, and what would he lead with? I mean, have you ever heard him? It was almost like a pattern. Every debate you're going to go into, you start off with one argument. What is it? Well, Muslims have done this, 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 and this. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Muslims. We're talking about Christianity. So then you get them going into the Crusades or the Inquisition, or slavery, or any number of things. But you had to get him off the topic. His first lead-in was what the Muslims are doing. And that's why Christianity is wrong. It's like, made no sense. So, aside from the most interesting man in the world, the other four have a common bond. You know what it is?
They started as an man.
Exactly. All were atheists who converted.
Hopkins converted, I didn't.
Yeah.
And he played CS.
And he played-
Well, he
I-
did.
It's
I
funny,
knew
he
that.
was still an atheist when he played that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Shadowlands. He played in
Shadowlands.
Shadowlands.
He was still an atheist when he played it. And it's like, a couple years later, you start thinking back to it, it's like,
But it got him thinking.
wait a minute.
I didn't know that.
And this guy.
Strobel.
Very good. You remember from last year? Lee Strobel. I'm reading through his stuff here. He's always got good stories. He had a good story last year with ricochet evangelism, right?
Yes, yeah.
You're talking to this guy, he's ricocheting off his heart, hitting the guy behind him and you can't see. So, he told one story, because we're sharing this with John earlier. He walks into a convenience store, gets a soda and gets some sunglasses. And he leaves, and the whole time he's in there, he knows the spirit's probably talk to the guy about the camera, talk to him about it. He won't do it. Gets out this car and he sits down and he goes, and the draw was just too, I had to go back in. I know how to talk to this guy. They walk back in and he says, I just came in and bought these sunglasses from you. And the guy's like, yeah. I'm like, these are designed to shield the light of the sun from burning your eyes. And you see the guy's face, he's like, where is this going? He goes, wouldn't it be great if there was something that could shield our souls from the fires of hell? He said, I know I'm saying this, and this guy's thinking, this guy's off the reservation. The guy looks at him and goes, I've been thinking that same thing. Boy, you feel the spirit leading you to do something, do it. Just quit arguing, quit trying to fight, quit being Moses. Oh, I can't go there, I can't speak. Oh, you're there. I can't do that. Well, I'll do that. It's like, God will give you the ways to do it. So, Strobel. Let's look at who he is. Who is Lee Strobel? You wait for the answers, huh?
Now we're reporters.
Somebody read that. Can you read that?
Former award-winning
Oh.
legal editor of the Chicago Tribune.
God, Tiffany, your voice has gotten very deep.
Sorry to hear that.
It's real inquisitive.
Yes. That's no small feat. Tribune is almost like the New York Times. It is the New York Times from the Midwest. So, continue on.
Chuck, that's not
Chuck.
Earned his Bachelor of Journalism from the University of Missouri and his Master of Studies in Law at Yale Law School.
Impressive?
Yeah.
You're impressed by that? Yes.
Journalist for 14 years at the Chicago Tribune and other newspapers, winning Illinois' highest honor for public service journalism from United Press International.
14 years is a long time.
The team that won UPI's top award for investigative reporting in Illinois. Host of Faith Under Fire, a provocative program that brought together some of the brightest Christians and skeptics to debate issues central to the Christian faith.
Who's ever seen this show? Nobody ever seen the show? YouTube it. It's great. It's absolutely great.
Currently a teaching pastor at Woodlands Church in Texas.
And he does that quite often. I'm going to say he's on stage at least 2-3 times a quarter.
Isn't he at H? Oh, okay.
Recently joined the faculty at HBU as professor of Christian thought.
Go to the flag gear stopper button in. Yeah, he's up there. Woodlands Church. Yes, he is the pastor of the Woodlands Church. He's there quite a few times. Yes, he is at HBU now. And he's on the teaching staff. I had one more thought in my mind, just left. So. Here's where we're starting. He wrote this book. Who got to go through the intro last week? Very good. I expect you all to answer the question today. What was so intriguing about the Dixon case?
Looked like it was an open.
Well, it looked like open and shut.
Yeah.
And the lesson he learned and that I've learned in the past is it's so easy to go down the path of least resistance.
Uh-huh.
Like, nope, oh, the authorities told me this, oh, everything looks open and shut, okay, end of story. And to actually dig and find something different is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful who you trust.
You do have to be careful who you trust. So, can anybody summarize what happened in the Dixon case? Go ahead, you can do it.
So basically, a cop pulled up to a report of domestic violence or something, and the guy came out of the house, and they thought that the guy had shot the cop, but really the cop had an illegal pin gun in his shirt pocket, and it went off. So they blamed the guy who came out of the house for it.
Yeah. And what was the problem with the whole investigation after that point? What did Dixon do that really sealed his fate?
Yeah.
Confessed. Knowing he really didn't do it, he confessed to it. Why?
Because they gave him a plea bargain.
Or if he only had 3 days left in jail anyway.
He had already served.
They made him a deal he couldn't refuse.
Yeah, he already served almost the whole year of his what would be sentence. So he's just weighing the options and going, confess and I'm out in 3 days. I've already been there for almost a year. So yeah, you can understand that. You can actually see that's logical what he's doing.
Especially the circumstance if you have to go back and tell him, he's not going to get a Class A lawyer or anything like that.
No. Yeah, I shot him. Bye. I'm out. Bye. See? So,
My life was already ruined anyway.
his life was ruined for the year anyway, right? So what was the big deal? So yeah, that there is something very intriguing about that. We see that a whole bunch. Okay? But trust me, the media and the general non-believing public are, salivating for the time archaeology discovers something that goes against the Bible. Because to date, they haven't found anything. So they're salivating, they're waiting. Give me one thing that doesn't really wrong, so I can say it's wrong.
I was just at the ICR had a conference over here at
What is ICR?
Institute of Creation Research.
Thank you.
And they had a conference over here at Calvary, Houston. And one of the things that they pointed out is that when you listen to scientists talk about their research and when they present their findings, that they couch it all with with what they call the magic words, like, this showed up. There's missing data.
Mhm.
Well, they can't, as a scientist, they can't provide the missing data, because if they were to provide the missing data, they would see design. And once you see design,
Must be a designer.
there must be a designer. And so, it's just fascinating that scientists actually recognize it, but they don't write about it. Just like the DA on the case here, he withheld evidence.
Right. Withheld evidence.
Yeah.
Mm,
They're withholding
You're gonna see it more and more.
Yeah.
They're like I said, they're salivating, they're wanting it.
Yes.
And they will make it happen if they can. Trumbull points the entire reopening of the case to one simple question. Remember what it was? One simple question he asked. No, we're talking about the Dixon case.
What's the truth?
Yeah. What explanation best fit the totality of the facts? Here's your evidence. What best situates? You go into court. Has anybody ever served on a murder jury? One, just two of us. Wow. Somebody served on a jury. Okay, suckers.
Murder's so much better.
Always excused.
What are you doing as the jurors?
You have to weigh the evidence.
Well, you're weighing evidence. What are you trying to conclude?
The truth,
Why?
because you're supposed to, well, in some cases, you don't have to do beyond a reasonable doubt, but you have to at least do what is more likely
Correct.
to have happened.
In some cases, depending on the case, right? Depending on what's the level of infringement.
Also civil versus
Civil
criminal.
versus criminal, right? All that stuff. You're weighing the evidence because why? You didn't witness it. Remember, Titanic sinks how? In an iceberg. For a day and a half, 2 days in New York. The people who were survivors couldn't convince everybody that it sank from hitting an iceberg. Why? Oh, hoopla! This is unsinkable. No. Where'd you guys come from? The Titanic hit an iceberg and sank. Couldn't have. They wouldn't believe them. Eyewitnesses couldn't convince them until finally the Carpathia pulls in and says, here we go. Yeah, it hit. It's down. It's gone. So evidence has a very heavy weight. How did Lincoln die? You were there? You saw it? Oh, how do you know?
Eyewitness reports.
History says it, but history can lie. You see where you get? Well, eyewitness reports is a more cogent belief system. You know? Eyewitness accounts say this. Okay? So then you have to weigh, who knows who Dan Wallace is other than you? Who knows who
reminded me, the Wright brothers flew their airplane in North Carolina in 1903. 5 years later, 20 miles outside of Dayton, Ohio, they were practicing flying. 5 years later. And people went into the newspaper to the reporters and said, you should go out and see the Wright brothers flying airplanes. And the reporters refused to go because it was impossible to fly. And they didn't even want to be bothered to see it.
They don't.
That was 5 years later.
Yeah, this just happened. Where was I? Dan Wallace. Dan Wallace. Who knows who he is? Who is he? No.
Is Dan Wallace, is he the one that's the?
Mike Wallace?
Mike Wallace and Dad Rather, this combination of the two.
Oh, okay, that's what, okay. Mike Wallace, and his son, Chris Wallace, okay. No, okay,
Yeah, they were father and son.
Really confused.
right. Good. Who is it?
Yeah, so Dan Wallace is a biblical scholar in Dallas that specializes in textual criticism.
And his point is, yes, are there variants within the scriptures, the autographs, not the autographs, manuscripts that we have? Are there?
Yes,
Yes.
but only because there's a lot of them.
But there's a mess of them, right? But and his point is what regarding these variants?
If you have one copy, there's no variance.
Right, if you have one guy, there's no variant. But his point with all the variants is that
Point of view.
They're insignificant.
it may be, thank you. What'd you say?
They're insignificant.
They're insignificant. Not one variant that the textual critics like to point at will ever deduct from the theology. Ever. Is it Jesus Christ or Christ Jesus? And what difference does it make? Seriously. Is there a difference in the way that's worded? Okay. Well, this one says Jesus Christ, this one just says Jesus or Christ. Yeah, and I've said it before. The other arguments of inaccuracy is Matthew, Mark, and Luke, while they are synoptic, they all preach on the same storyline, contradict each other. Because one says Mary Magdalene went to the tomb. The other one says Mary Magdalene and the mother of Mary went to the tomb. The other one says Mary Magdalene, Salome, and the women went to the tomb. Now, is that a contradiction?
No.
Does anybody think it is a contradiction? How would you explain that to an atheist who wants to hang his hat on that?
Different point of views.
Different point of view. Explain.
Well, someone could be looking at something from one direction, someone could be looking at something from another direction. So their point of view, what they see in front of them is what they're explaining.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, the other issue is that, very simply, I was there, yeah, if you really want to know, yes, these ladies were all there. But my story, the way I want to explain it is that it's just a keys in on her.
Good point. Ricky.
They are complementary attestations to the same truth, but they're not contradictory.
Right.
If we had to evacuate this room right now because of a fire or
Good.
an alarm,
Good.
and you ask everyone in here to write what happened, you would not get the same account, but you would, most likely, you won't get a contradictory account when you put the everything
together.
You'll get complementary account that gives you the total picture.
Good point. Do you have something to say?
I was gonna say, the level of detail that I would give one group versus another group may differ, but the account
It's
is
still the same.
same.
And what's the account?
They went to the grave.
And what was in the grave?
Empty.
Empty. It's always the same. The end of the story is always the same. Correct? Good.
Well, and going to that, Joe just said, we don't know this for a fact, this is just, something that could have happened. Some of the people may have known one person, some of them may have known several of the ladies, and so they may have said, remember, Steve was there, go talk to Steve.
Right.
As opposed to saying all the people who,
Correct.
all the ladies who were there.
So we did a study on Mere Christianity up in Dallas. Me and a friend, the pagan Bill. Remember him?
Yes.
Pete the pagan. His
You
real name's
can
Bill.
never forget that.
Well, he's coming back, so he's coming back to challenge us again. We did a study, and one of the little exercises in the study was 3 people in the class. You're going to come out with me for a weekend, just for a Saturday. We're going to spend time together. Okay? And then, because there's a point in the study where he talks about these differing, in Mere Christianity, it was talks about the differing points of view that were recorded there. And then, so we went out. What are we doing? We're just going to hang out. I just need you to hang out for me for 5-6 hours, okay? I went a couple places, checked a couple properties, so what we're doing. Week later, I contact the first one. Write a paragraph of what we did last weekend. 2 weeks later, saw the other one. Write a paragraph with it. Those 3 paragraphs were handed in to my friend Bill. He presents them to the class, or the group that we're studying, the study group, and he goes, "This sounds like you weren't even together the same day." Why? I can tell you for a fact, everything that happened factually happened. But why did they match? It's like 2 of them had the fact that we went and had lunch. One only had a fact of us going and visiting a property.
Because of the different point of view.
Differing point of views. And what writers are prone to write about according to their own biases. You ask the question?
No, go ahead.
Oh.
I was just,
What you got?
I was also gonna say, they were all writing to the same person, okay? They all had the same audience.
Well, they knew it was the class, yeah, they were writing to the class, yes.
Right, but the writers of the Gospels didn't necessarily have the same exact audience in mind when they were writing, so they were writing for different purposes.
Correct.
So
But their
it's-
propensities plays into it because one of them focused on the atmosphere. Another one focused on where we went. And the third one focused on what we said. To get all three and put them together, you have the whole story. Separately, you'd say, these three people weren't with Steve on the same day. It just didn't happen. So it still happens today is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yes.
only thing within the context of this example, also, what the skeptic is trying to do is push for that this is not a factual story.
Right.
And if they were making it up, they would not have used women as the subject of the story. This is true at that time, within that context.
Good.
Well, it's funny, so you brought up J. Warner Wallace earlier. He uses this actually as an explanation for what moved him from an atheist to a believer. He was a homicide detective, and so I don't know anything about homicide detectives, but what he says is, if you interview multiple witnesses and the stories are too close, it's because they're
Colluding.
Right.
They're phony. In his opinion, this type of thing is actually proof that the Gospels are authentic because they're not good immediately. You have to understand them. This is how people actually are, like what Ricky was describing.
Right.
If everybody said the same thing, that would be highly suspect.
Correct.
As if they all had to get their story
That's
straight.
right.
Let's all get our story straight. You know,
Right.
the kids will do that when they're gonna get in
Criminals
trouble.
do that.
Yeah.
Well, also get big problem.
It's a criminal.
Well, there's enough differences between them, but, we may hear in here, I don't remember where I read it, or it was in the show, someplace, I think it's later in the book, about the cube.
Yes.
It's supposed to be, someone that has written out a script or whatever, and, they had to incorporate these ideas, or, so those three, gospels would have been similar to each other.
Yeah, I believe that's a Jesus seminar promoting that.
Yeah.
So.
He mentioned that.
Yeah, he does mention it in the first chapter.
Then Strobel in the intro freely admits the solution he himself held, position he held. Remember what it was?
Yes, he had some presumptions, some presuppositions.
But preconceptions, everybody's got them. There's nothing. Who was I talking to? I was talking to you two the other night. Or was it you two? It was you last night. With
If it was really wide, it was me.
No.
If it was trivial, it can.
Oh, so you're calling me wise. Thank you very much. So I was talking with my framer up in Dallas, and he was saying how his neighbors were all, they're a little bit biased against me, prejudiced and everything else. I just looked back and I said, you were? And he's like, what? The first day you met me, trust me, everyone in this class, I can guarantee you, the first day you met me, whoa, this guy's huge. And he's loud. Maybe not, you say I'm quiet, but I'm really not. And he's loud. So we work through that. We keep working through that. So I told him, just keep working through it with your neighbors. Just keep being who you are, and they'll realize what they see that they want to engage with. And I think they did. But everybody's got preconceptions. Who doesn't?
Guy.
Fires.
He
Huh?
just has conceptions.
Why doesn't God have preconceptions?
Alpha and Omega, the beginning,
He's a-
was, who is, and
He already knows who you are.
He is.
There is no pre with him.
Yeah, I know, exactly. He just is.
He just be,
Very good.
he just be like that.
So what prompted Strobel to even consider investigating the claims of Christianity?
His wife's
Say it again.
His wife's conversion.
His wife's conversion. His wife's conversion. Why?
I think originally he was going to talk her out of it.
He tried.
Yeah, and so then he went ahead and did the investigation to see where it led him. He investigated.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to believe this, I'm going to see if it's true, and if it's not true, I'm going to shove it back in your face.
He also started seeing the change in her.
Saw the change in her. That's where I'm getting.
It gave some credibility to why he's.
So he openly states eventually I wanted to get to the bottom of what was prompting these subtle but significant shifts in my wife's attitudes. So I launched an all-out investigation into the facts surrounding the case for Christianity. Remember, this is after he went through the Dixon case. So he has something that's better look a little deeper. See what it is. Okay?
That says a lot about just atheists in general, from the standpoint of how they get wrapped up in their intellectualism to believe that after, 1900 to 2000 years, they believe that I can go out and prove Christianity's wrong.
Yeah.
And yet some of the brightest and top thinkers throughout all of history have been Christians and followers.
Yeah, the first scientists were all Christian.
Absolutely.
Not just believers in God, Christians. So, he's going to go into it from the standpoint of the reporter, an investigative reporter. Dig, find the truth behind it. Where is it? In today's vernacular, in America, we always say follow what? The money. Very rarely do we say follow the evidence. We're not concerned with it. We're just following the money. We don't know how to get rich off of it. So, can you think of a Bible verse that we've gone into deeply that resonates that same sentiment? Yes.
Romans 1:20.
Say that again?
Romans 1:20.
Is that the one I got? No.
Oh.
Might be the same, something along the same
It's in
lines.
Romans.
It is in Romans. You want to read that?
Okay. But I am speaking to you who are Gentiles, inasmuch then as I am an apostle of Gentiles. I magnify my ministry, if somehow I might move to jealousy my fellow countrymen and save some of them.
Yeah. And Stewart visited on this when he was speaking on Romans 11. He lingered on it for a little time in our class. Okay. Strobel's wife caused Strobel to be jealous for what she knows. What's making that change in you? Trust me, if I could stay off the highway, I would be so much greater at displaying Christianity to the world. It's just, what's 120? I want to, because you went right to it, so I want to hit and see what I missed.
It's the one like testing, and find the truth. I don't want to. I don't have it completely memorized, but I know what it says.
We can always come back to it. So
Okay.
if you will find it, let me know when you have it. So, but yeah, and I'm sure there are other scriptures that you can line up with this, but that's the one that jumped out to me. It's like, she made him jealous. She made him jealous for what she found out. Right? What's the Bible say about wives? How you're going to win your husband over?
Saying the word.
Well, not saying word, but by your actions. Yeah. How many people have converted to Christianity and tried to talk to their family who aren't Christian? How hard was that? Okay.
Almost impossible.
It's almost impossible. It's like, well, I'll tell you what, you've got to believe Spirit, you've got to enlighten them for me to even get a word in.
Even Jesus had the trouble.
Even Jesus had trouble.
Yeah.
Neither died.
Yeah.
That did the trick.
Well,
The resurrection. The
Okay.
resurrection.
He then tells of how he
He then tells of how he interviewed experts, asked questions, analyzed history, explored archaeology, studied ancient literature, and for the first time in my life, picked apart the Bible verse by verse.
Now, this should be reminiscent of something we instruct that we all do in this class. What is it? Yes, very good, Kim. You get a popsicle for that. Okay? Systematic theology. We went through, I think 5 years ago, we went through 2 years of the systematic theology, and then we went through it again recently. We went back to systematic theology. That's the whole course on it. Now, what is systematic theology? Bueller?
You
Bueller.
deconstruct to reconstruct.
Say it again.
You deconstruct to reconstruct it.
Yes, in a way.
If you follow a system.
You follow a system, obviously, yes, but
Look at history.
yes, go, good. Now you're there. What is it?
You look at history, you look how to study it, you look at students, all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
The
we're looking,
background information.
when you're looking at a Bible verse, you want to know who wrote it, who they were, who they're writing to, what time they're writing it, what's going on in the world around when they're writing this, because there's some relevance to that. Correct? Why is Peter so urgent for the Romans to truly accept Christ and come on board? What's going on in Rome in 60 some AD? Huh?
Persecution.
Persecution. Heavy. Nero lighting people on fire so he can light his gardens. I mean, that's a bit nutty. I'm going to light, there's a Christian, set him on fire so we can have light. It's all weird. Find all those variables. And when you're going into the Bible, you can read the Bible, just read it along. There's not a problem with it. You're gonna get something out of it. Trust me, and it's the way it was written by the hand of God. But when you actually look at something, and you may be reading something and say, "I'm not quite getting this," find out what is going on.
Yeah, and of course, very important, Steve, is the context.
Context.
You know, what is the context? What are they talking about in this, around this verse?
Correct.
Right? Because otherwise, you take a verse and it can go anywhere,
Mhm.
right? So the context and what is the overall message?
Biola, actually, it's Stanley Reason, it's Greg Kokel's, has a saying, never, ever read one verse of scripture. What's the old Bible roulette? What is it? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to just close our eyes, open the Bible, flip pages, and point. Saul fell on his own sword. Oh, I can't do that. I'll do it again. I hear it. Peter and John did likewise. Oh, wow. It's a bad day for you if that's where you're going to go about playing the life. Good. Yep.
Oh, actually, a better verse.
A better verse.
That I was trying to think of is, but test everything, hold fast what is good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's from 1 Thessalonians 5:21.
Okay.
So
I'm
that's,
sorry, what's the site?
oh, 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Yeah, that's the test everything.
And it does. It works right in hand with it as well.
Yeah, that's what he's.
Strobel then asks a simple question that may truly assist us if we are ever challenged for believing the Bible, God, and Jesus. Remember what that question was? No? You would dig deeper. Confront your preconceptions and systematically seek out proof. What would you find? You're telling me you don't believe the Bible's true. You don't believe there's a God, okay? I've done my due diligence and investigated it. Here, show me where I'm wrong. Just show me where I'm wrong. With all the understanding that I've already gleaned, you show me where I'm wrong. Everybody know who Charles Swindoll is? Sure. Yeah, I was at his church. He was relating when he was in the Marines, and he's with a bunkmate, and he's also taking Bible courses on the side, but he knows this guy's not saved. So he just gets with him. He says, hey, I don't even know the guy's name. Let's call him Randy. Hey, Randy, do me a favor. I've got to memorize these verses. Would you take the Bible and point to one and get me to say what it is and see if I'm right or wrong? This is Swindoll. Yes, you probably already knew it, but it was just so funny to hear him say, guy goes, John 3:16. For God so liked the world that he did something. And so the guy starts reading them what it actually said. He's not like God so loved the world that he gave his only forgotten son. He did it over and over and over again. As far as he knew, when they left the military, didn't put a dent in the guy. 35 years later, he gets a letter from this guy. Hey, Swindoll, you know what you were doing back in the military? It worked. It finally got in. It worked. Just plant seeds, guys. Throw the stone in the shoe.
I was gonna say, it's a scary thing to confront your preconceptions. I mean, Jesus says it very clear, like in John 3, says they fear the light and fear that, their deeds are going to be exposed. And so it's just truth. The truth, it sets you free, but it's painful.
It is.
It is a painful thing when you're speaking to someone who's a Muslim
Right.
or so on, and they have to go and actually go in there. And it's fearful. It really is. You're fearful.
But it's painful to our pride.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
It really is. Ricky.
That statement there brings me to a settled understanding of psychology of being an atheist.
Okay.
Used to, if there was no God, I was agnostic. For years, dealt in Marxism. But then Ravi Zacharias said something to me when I came to Christ, when reading his stuff. Men reject God, not because of intellectual reasons, but emotional and psychological reasons that make you don't even get to the evidence.
Right.
So if you were to dig deeper, what's stopping me from digging deeper? Emotional and psychological reasons. So sometimes when you're arguing or you're debating an atheist, remember that he hasn't gotten to the intellectual evidence. He hasn't really examined it because he's blinded by his emotional, psychological biases and preconceptions.
Yep.
Something has to strip you of that. Sometimes it's an event. Somewhere the Holy Spirit has to get around that. Or somebody has to say something as an instrument of the Holy Spirit to knock those barriers away from you and strip it bare. For me, it was the collapse of communism, the collapse of Grenada, a lot of things, stuff I saw in my country. I said, this thing can't be true. And then I said, my mom is in America. Let me consider America. Who's sending me all this stuff? Maybe they're not that bad. So I came here, and then once I came out to the plane and I saw the country, I said, God, indeed, bless America. Just, you will understand, from a third world country coming to this country and suddenly seeing it, you're like, wow. And that starts to strip me. And then I met a young lady. She invited me to church. I'm in church, and she doesn't know that I'm an unbeliever. And I've seen her reading the Bible, and I'm, what does he want with me? Another person who believes this crap. So it's emotional and psychological barriers. And then when I came to it, when they asked me, have you ever accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? And then it struck me that, wait a minute, do you have an invitation to believe? Then it struck me, you have to consider evidence. And I said, no one has ever asked me that. So I come to faith, I confess, and they led me to Christ with a 6-month-old baby, and I read this book, The Case for Christ.
Oh, cool.
Because a co-worker gave me. And I lay on my bed after reading this book, and I was like, goodness gracious, you were so blind. I felt in my heart of hearts when I read Lee Strobel's book that ain't no doubt in my mind that I made the right choice.
Good. Good.
Amen. Amen.
But those, and he is right. There is, you have to understand when you're conversing with these people who don't want to believe. What it? Huh?
I was agreeing with Brandon. That's absolutely right.
Oh, yeah.
They deny the light to that point.
Find what it is. And if you can enter in to their pain, then you're walking with them. Then it's going to be easier to get to this point. You're saying no? Oh, I thought you were shaking your head no.
No.
Okay. Find that link. You ever think about how many people have gone through trouble in their life?
Okay.
Has anybody not gone through trouble in their life because they're going to start hanging around with you? Everybody goes through trouble. You ever wonder why you're going through these troubles? Are you like Job's friends? Well, you're praying to God. You're doing everything right. You shouldn't be going through any trouble. Or are you realizing that somewhere, somehow, this ugliness that you're going through is going to play out somewhere later on down the road, like Joseph. Sold into slavery, thrown into a well, left for dead. Second in command in Egypt. I mean, come on. And the story didn't end there. Yes. Oh, I keep seeing hands move, so whenever I see that, yeah. By the way, not to do that. You're creep up real easy. In this categories of proof. Go ahead, Chuck.
Categories of proof: eyewitness evidence, documentary evidence, corroborating evidence, rebuttal evidence, scientific evidence, psychological evidence, circumstantial evidence, yes, even fingerprint evidence.
What's the common link? I wonder. I'm always harping about the evidence. Okay. This is going to be a quick class. We're just going through the intro. Chapters 1 and 2 encompass interviews that Lee Strobel, in his quest to find out the Bible was true, changed his life. That's what chapters 1 and 2 are about. Okay? Please read them so we can have open, free discussion next week.
Both for next week?
1 and 2 for next week. We're going to be tackling 2 or 3 chapters every week. Okay? Underline. How many people underline their Bible or write in their Bible? Anybody think it's a sin? You think it's a sin?
I come from that heritage.
Okay.
I'm with me, that was childhood.
Get you an
Don't touch it.
online Bible. You can highlight, underline. It doesn't count.
Yeah, I come around all
Can
the problem is I underline so much that I can't read it.
You have to explain to your wife why you have Sharpie marks on your iPad.
That's why you get 2 Bibles.
Yeah.
One you underline and one you don't.
That's the easy way. Yeah, you're allowed to online do everything else you want to do in any book.
I don't know if it's still there, but the movie was on Netflix.
It's on there. There's clips of it, yes.
Is it still there?
I believe so.
Yeah.
It is.
Watching it yesterday.
Are you gonna do the videos
Oh,
for
I see,
class?
I see the one.
Huh?
Or videos for class?
I'm looking into it. I gotta get with Wes on that, yes.
The workbook, are we doing that in class or at home?
The workbook is yours to follow along, because when I'm putting the study together, I'm utilizing the workbook and the book together. You don't have to buy it. You'll get if you don't want to buy it, you don't have to buy it. If you want to buy it, by all means, go ahead and buy it. But we're going to be encompassing both of those and hopefully some videos in class. Okay? Or some snippets of the videos in class. So, any questions, comments, concerns, criticism, leave the criticism out. Any questions? Yes.
There's no video for us to watch every week?
No, I'm trying to get with Wes to see if he can load them up. And if he can, we will. Okay?
What would the videos be?
It goes along with the book.
Oh, there are
Yeah.
videos.
It goes
that
along
they-
with this.
Oh, I see.
Okay?
Yeah, or you can subscribe and pay $8 a month.
Yeah. But Wes has my video of this. I'm trying to see if they've been able to strip it out and put it on our class website. And we'll give you all the information for that as well. Any other questions? We finished 10 minutes early.
I know.
That is a first.
Truly a spectacle.
Dismissed.